How's I mean, how did the guys respond to the Dayton game? Like, how tough is it to keep bouncing back from games that late in the season?
Well, I think the biggest problem with the Dayton game is 13,000 people, and then you go to the next game. Now, the good part of it is St. Bonaventure will have a good crowd, and ECU will have a good crowd. So from that perspective, we shouldn't have trouble getting ready to play.
Right.
But I mean, anytime you lead in a game and you play with a lot of guts and determination, and then you don't play great and lose, I mean, it's hard to rally back.
Right.
And especially when you're in the later stages of the season, so you just try to reinvent ways to motivate, reinvent ways to get guys to understand the importance of everything.
Can it be because there have been a few games this year where you guys led at halftime? I think back to Rhode Island too was similar. I mean, can games like when there are multiple games like that can be defeating for guys?
I don't think it's so much mental for us. I think it's more physical than mental. Yeah. I really do. I think part of our second half issues are physical.
Yeah.
Just not enough substitution, not enough depth. Not probably physically mature yet, everybody. I think that's part of it.
You were ahead at halftime. You they demoralized by losing by 10, or how did they come out of the game?
So, you know what, Jerry? I don't really think players hang on to things long. Mm-hmm. I think coaches do. And administrators do, but I think the kids nowadays they play so much AAU and win, lose, lose, that I don't really think that it phases them much in the long term. I think the grind of the year does, but I don't think the actual wins and losses really do. I think that's probably the good thing about young people is they have their raincoat on and the water just splashes off.
Do you think that's especially true, like during the regular season? I mean, you think about it's not like it's a season-ending loss, right? Like it's like there's still more basketball to be played. I assume that helps a little bit.
Yeah, I do. I think even the tournaments, right? Unless you're the favorite and lose, or you lose in a heartbreaking championship situation or a heartbreaking semifinal, even then they recover pretty quickly.
And then the first matchup against St. Bonaventure, you said you kind of ran out of juice. You didn't want to be in the 80s. Are you going to go at them a little differently tomorrow, slow it down or whatnot?
I mean, we play relatively slow for the most part anyway, and then when we have fast break opportunities, we take them. They're just like everybody else. They have their good games and their bad games. Who would have thunk it? They played really good in here offensively, and then they couldn't make a shot against Davidson. And then I watched a Richmond game, and Richmond arguably could be the best shooting team in the league, and Richmond had a bunch of open shots and didn't make any. I mean, that's what's strange about this game is it's a shot-making league. That's what they say the NBA is, right? And really college basketball is no difference. If you don't make shots, you're not winning. It doesn't matter how good a defense you play, you have to make shots.
You guys made a ton of shots in that game, but you didn't get much production down low. They're big guys. What can you do differently?
Well, that's the way they play. So when you throw into the five-man center, they same side double. So what I mean by that is they take the guy who threw it in and they double. And the reason they do that is they don't want the big guy in foul trouble. He's good enough to play one-on-one defense in there, but they don't want foul trouble. And then if you throw into Marcus, the big guy's going to double. So they're not really letting you score around the rim, but you still have to throw it in there in order to get 14 threes. That's why we scored. That's why we made 14 threes, is because we threw it in there. So sometimes production's misleading because of how they're playing. Sometimes people say, well, why'd you shoot so many threes? Well, they played zone the whole game. They kind of make you shoot threes. So I think that's part of their plan. Is they don't let you score in there.
You've known Mark Schmidt for years, I assume, right?
Yeah, I've known him.
How helpful is that when you go into a game against a coach you're familiar with?
Well, I think you know what they're going to do. I mean, I think that's the trick in this league is there's so many different styles of play in this league, maybe because of the geography of the league. You know, you've got him who runs a million plays. You got George Washington who runs a million plays. You got St. Louis who plays 1-3-1 zone some, man-to-man some, physical. You got VCU who presses. So you just have to learn the league and what they're going to do when it matters. I think that's a process. You know, like what player are they going to run when it really matters when the game's on the line. You know, pretty much with George Washington, for instance, we know that Potter's going to shoot the three late. He's not going to shoot many threes early, and we know that when the game's on the line, Lofton's going to shoot the ball for St. Bonaventure. We know when Dayton's in trouble, Crutcher's going to shoot it, or they're going to go inside to top it. So those are things you just have to learn, you know, about the league. And, you know, it's an educational process, you know, continually. You're continually studying, watching film, understanding what they're trying to do when. Like Schmidt will call timeout, he's going to play zone. So, like, you could call timeout at the end of the half, but you're going to get the zone. You know, so you have to make your choices. Do you want to play against a man-to-man, or do you want to call timeout and play against a zone?
Is your team better against man-to-man?
I don't know. People haven't played us a lot of zone. They're a little scared, you know, because Tavian can get loose on you, and, you know, we're still going to throw it inside. He plays a fair amount of zone, but he only played 4 possessions against us the first time. And the last 3 times we played him, he hasn't played much.
So you got 80 points against mostly man-to-man. That's to be encouraging, right?
Yeah, so will he play zone? That'll be the next guess. Like, he'll throw it out there to see. Like against George Mason, he played a lot.
It seems like with college basketball, most of the teams, you don't know what you're going to get from day to day. Like you mentioned Davidson game, they got beat, but they played well before that. And what about your team? Do you know beforehand? Do you have a sense we're going to play good tonight?
I think that's a great observation. So when you're in a league that's relatively balanced, it becomes difficult to know, like if you're a Dayton fan, you know you're going to win most of them, right? I mean,
Because you got the lottery pick.
Right now, I mean, although, you know, they haven't been as dominant, you know, and who would have thought, you know, that's just the scary thing about we're trying to build a program here, right? And VCU's 7-7, and Davidson's 8-6. Like, do you know how long those programs have been good? You know, that's St. Louis, another good example, right? That's a crazy thing. Like, we're trying to get above that, and they're struggling to get above that. And Coach McKillop's been there for over 30 years, right? And St. Louis has had tradition of huge basketball. Now, look, like, we gotta get frustrated too. Don't get me wrong. We have high expectations, but that's what you fight. Is look at VCU's been in the tournament 9 out of 10 years, and they're 7-7, picked first in the league. So it's so fragile. To answer your question, this is a game of fragility. It's about group dynamics. It's about getting the right group. You use Shaka. Shaka worked for me, right? He won because he had a group that was good for him at VCU, and he hasn't been able to get that group, the same type of group dynamics at Texas for whatever reason.
It's hard to get, isn't it, that dynamic?
You have to know like what kind of guys are going to be good for you, and then you have to try to find those guys. And sometimes it's harder than it appears because you don't coach them every day. You don't really know what they have inside of them or what's inside their brain or what can distract them. You don't know, like, at some point, are they going to stay motivated? Do they love basketball? They may love it now, but 3 years from now they may not love it. It's just like us. Like, it's the same thing. It's at some point, you know, guys just decide to retire because they just don't feel like they have that burning desire anymore, or they just say, enough is enough. But that's what makes the job hard. And you know, what makes this different than running a business is we're relying on 18, 19-year-olds to win and lose games, which, think about with our own kids. Like our 18 and 19-year-olds, some of our own kids have made some poor decisions at times. So that's the trick in the whole thing, is getting the right people, getting the right group dynamics. And sometimes it's not the best players. You have to have good players, but you have to have guys that will play their role, will slot into their role, that care about winning. So it's a hard deal, because this stuff gets tough. It's tough. Like, it's a tough deal when you're February 24th, 25th, and you've been practicing for a long time, and you have frustrations. You know, you have to have good character to survive it. And if you don't, like, it shows.
How do you judge your team's character?
I like our character. I think, in fairness to our guys, no excuses. This is the hardest thing I've ever been through in my life. And I've been at a school where there was one building and no gym, and played at the YMCA, and it wasn't as hard as this, because we knew it going in. You understand? Like, once you have good facilities, good locker room, showers, you know, it's hard to go the other direction. And again, we've done the best we can with it, the best we could do, but it's still hard as heck now. You're just not ever in your routine, you know, and then it's such a long year when you're not in your routine and you don't win a game or two, it becomes even harder. So my job is to make sure that we just don't let any of those outside factors come into play, and that we just keep plugging along. And things change so rapidly, like we lost the game, then we go to St. Louis and win. If we go to St. Bonaventure and win, things will change again, right? I mean, it can change like that, you know, like, you just have to feel good about yourself. I do think that we've shown we can play with the best teams in the league. Not for the whole game, but Dayton, Rhode Island, like, we've shown it. We just have to become a little bit more the same all the time.
The school you referenced was Tiffin?
Tiffany,
That was your first job?
25 years old.
Oh, yeah.
So I would teach. The only reason I got the job is I had an MBA. I could teach business classes. It was a business school. So I went to the school for my interview, and there was one building. All of a sudden, I was not nervous. Right? And they played at the YMCA. We practiced at the Y, and the court next to us, they would play Duck, Duck, Goose with the little kids. And it was about 35 degrees. We'd have guys with stocking caps. Right? And but it really taught me, because I taped the ankles every day, right? I drove the van to the game. I coached the game. I drove the van back. I didn't have to do the laundry, but I gathered the laundry to give to the guy who did the laundry, and then I got up the next day and did the same thing.
And this is tougher than that?
At this age, because I had to learn about financial aid. I had to learn about I did everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I was 25. I didn't have anything else. Like, it was fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this is hard at this age. You know, because again, like, it's like I'm out of my routine too.
You're a young 60-something. You're not to run around with those guys.
Looking good. I feel good. I mean, it's been good. Like, I'm the right man for the job, because if you took a high major guy, if you took one of those high major guys and brought him down here, they'd struggle. They'd struggle with this, right? So I'm not spoiled. I mean, I'm more spoiled than I was when I was 25, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not like them.
Yeah.
Good.
All right.
All right. Appreciate.